the Martial Arts Movie Podcast.
I threw that shit before I walked in the room.
Featuring drunken Thai boxer, Will.
Too bad you will die.
The also drunken wrestler, Mark.
I said I don't want trouble.
And drunken karate master, Zero.
You've lost your balls.
And now,
I know Kung Fu. You know, baby.
Fists of Fail.
30 seconds.
No, we're fucking doing this now. What? Oh, it's...
I used to quote that a lot, and I don't remember where I got it from until I rewatched
Don't tell
this
me
movie.
it's from this movie.
Yeah. I don't know why. My friends and I used to be like, let's go. We're like, okay. We'd be like, 30 seconds.
Wait, did all your friends watch this movie too?
Yeah.
This drivel?
Yeah. I watched this movie a lot.
Really?
As a kid. Yeah.
Oh,
it was
man.
because it was on. Mm-hmm. It's like I
On
watched
TNT.
I think pay-per-view. Yeah.
Were you paid for this?
No. We had the black box growing up.
Okay.
So I watched a lot of movies, and if they were just on rotation all the time, whether it was good or bad, we just, we watched a lot. So good movies, we watched a lot. Bad movies.
Where on the spectrum is this? Is this good or bad?
Well, when I saw this movie, I was in high school, so this was prime time, right up my alley. This movie is just filled with nu metal and kung fu and sci-fi. So I love this movie growing up, and I was afraid to revisit it.
What? Wait, so do you have nostalgia for this?
Oh yes, I have heavy nostalgia.
You do?
But,
oh man.
But I know this is kind of a mess.
Okay.
Yeah, I can clearly see it's a mess, but
Kinda, you said.
I really enjoyed rewatching this because I was laughing a lot at some of the art direction and the musical choices.
Oh man, if I were to, I am that guy who would be like, hey, you remember that movie that you grew up with that you remember fondly? Why don't I recommend that for a bad movie night? Because this movie is very entertaining.
Yeah, I was very entertained watching it again, and I felt, I don't want to say embarrassed, but when you're younger, you like stuff, not realizing if it's, I don't want to say, I don't know where I'm going with that, but like you can like something that maybe isn't as good as you think it is.
Right. Well, yeah, you have. Well, again, that's what nostalgia is, right? Well, I can't speak for this guy. He still likes My Little Pony. But
Thanks.
I mean, given that you're not, a crazy fanatic or Mark, you can have some guilty pleasures. I guess that's the way to describe it.
This is a complete guilty. That's the nice way of putting it. This is a guilty pleasure, although I feel that I probably don't need to watch this movie ever again. I loved it as a kid. I really, really liked watching it now for this podcast, but I'm just like, just let it sail out into the sea now.
Unless you want to see Jet Li in a wig again.
Yeah, just put this movie on a boat and just light it on fire and just put it out to sea.
Put it out to sea, yeah.
What is this movie? Does someone want to take this without...
If you've seen The Matrix, you've seen this movie.
Yeah. Well, wait. So this is the 18-year anniversary of this. Weird number that we chose, but now the movie can finally go out and go to college and stuff.
Yeah. It can buy porn.
Is that the legal age?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
No one cares about that. You can
Cigarettes?
get porn at any age.
That's true. Yeah. Well,
And cigarettes.
this
too.
generation can. Crumble, crumble, crumble.
So this is our first Jet Li movie. Yeah, it's only 20-something episodes in.
Yeah.
One of the biggest martial arts names out there in cinematic history, and we're several months late to the party.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk about Jet Li for a while. We just didn't have anything lined up.
We didn't.
And because this just fell in, I was like, no, we got to talk about this. And because I was curious if I was going to hate it or not.
Hence
upon
the
rewatching.
arbitrary anniversary.
Yes, exactly.
we have to talk about him somehow. What? This is not a good representation of Jet Li's best.
Not at all.
I would say it's not a good representation of his martial arts skills, but I think he's got enough charisma to carry on what he could with the story, especially because he's doing double duty. He's two actors.
I feel like it's a good representation of his attempt into the Western market as far as martial arts are concerned.
Oh, so I feel.
Did we say what we're talking about yet?
A movie.
The one? Which one?
That
one. That one. Yeah.
It's called The One.
Now, when you go on IMDb and you type in The One, this movie doesn't show up first. Keanu Reeves is the first search result.
Really?
Yeah, because he's the one.
Oh wait, that's how he's billed. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's important to make that distinction because 2011 was when this movie came out. Matrix was 3 years
2001.
prior. 2001, yes.
You said 11.
You said 11.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2001.
I was getting confused.
A Space Odyssey. So 3 years prior to that was obviously one of the most monumental films that ever came out for sci-fi. And every freaking movie at the time needed to,
a lot of movies
that.
were really aping on the action style.
Yeah.
And this is one of the few movies where I feel like this got greenlit because this is very high concept in terms of sci-fi. Like I think I enjoyed this movie a lot because I don't know any other story that's like this. It is pretty unique.
At least not in that time period.
Yeah. I'll say the story at least is pretty unique. And I think the only reason why this got greenlit is because they got Jet Li to do it, and then The Matrix was, it was a hit. It was a sci-fi hit.
Right. So, on that note, since you're talking about it, so it's interesting that the original pitch was going to be with The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and this is
It's okay. He got Doom. It's fine.
No, at the time he was he left so he could do Scorpion King,
yes,
which is also a cinematic masterpiece. Yeah, but he at the time this would have been a Rock vehicle. Such a stupid sentence to say.
Yeah.
It's a Rock vehicle.
Well, I mean, nowadays we know him as probably one of the most recognizable action movie stars.
Right. This is the era where he did movies like The Tooth Fairy.
Oh, yeah.
He was in that, right?
Yeah. That might have been even later.
No, because The Rock was his first... I mean, not The Rock. Excuse me.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
The Scorpion King was his first big movie break.
Right. Well, I'm glad we're talking about The Rock today.
And he only got into that because of wrestling.
What? He was in wrestling?
No.
Jesus Christ. The movie, The Wrestler?
Yeah. We're all over the place. So Jet Li got casted into this, and this is where I guess maybe the initial treatment was with The Rock, and then they just switched it up later and like, hey, now we have Jet Li, so we got to incorporate martial arts into it. So now we have Corey Yuan, who was brought onto the project as choreographer, and obviously Jet Li's in it. And then James Wong is the director for this. The director of such masterpieces like Final Destination and Dragon Ball Evolution. So
I like Final Destination. I think it's a fun horror series.
I thought the first one. Dragon Ball Evolution.
I like Dragon Ball Evolution because it's so bad. It's not so bad. It's good. It's pretty horrible.
Yeah,
I hear they're actually making a Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yes.
No, I'm fucking with you.
Yes, I'm ecstatic for that. Yeah, so this is. Are they gonna make the sequel to The One? Just called Two.
The Two.
It's just called Two.
There are two Jet Lis.
Yeah.
So The One, it's really laughably bad at times, and it's. I almost feel like it's self-aware in the fact that it's trying to rip off The Matrix. But it's also a byproduct of the time. Well, I'm sorry. It's more self-aware that it's a byproduct of the time because the music is such...
Either that or it's...
I don't know if
they've taken it so seriously and it just comes off that way, but they have no idea that it's actually...
they didn't know.
I don't think they did.
I think there's just too much of the Matrix influence because there's a lot of rock music in The Matrix as well. And they're just taking what was popular then in that year,
all
Disturbed,
the 90s,
Papa Roach,
then,
Drowning Pool, all those bands who at least have 2 songs each in this movie.
Yeah,
and it's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about The Matrix. They would use symphonic scores for fight scenes, and that doesn't age as much as "Let's turn into pieces. This is my last resort." That like you see. Okay, like
But also, we didn't have bad English.
from who? From D. Norris, who has a little role in the movie.
Hank from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, which you didn't catch before.
I thought it was him. I haven't seen him in a while.
If there's a cop in the movie, he's in it. Did you
Yeah.
know he was also in
The Shield?
Starship Troopers?
Yeah, I saw him in that.
He's always a cop.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're space cops. So.
The slight difference.
Let's stay focused. Talk about the one.
Talk about the one. Okay, Will, what's this movie about? It's
all right.
this is such a not too complicated. It's just
It's actually not complicated. You know what it is? It's a Rick and Morty episode, but with martial arts in it.
martial arts. That's an easy way to make that digestible for people.
Right. So there's multiple universes, and okay, it's like Rick and Morty with Highlander in it. So when there can only be one,
Yeah.
like that kind of principle.
You
So
power up and all of that once you kill everybody. It's great.
Well, the idea is that there's multiple universes, so there's multiple yous
Mm-hmm.
across the universes. As
His name is Law.
you
I am the law.
as
I stole your joke.
as one of you in the other universes is killed or dies, the energy gets redistributed amongst those who are alive. So I guess there's no issue if like one or two die within a certain time period. But because what's happening is the evil Jet Li is traveling to all the parallel universes and killing that universe's version of himself, he is thus gaining all that energy. And he realizes he's kind of becoming a god. He's becoming really strong.
Can I tell you guys something? So the beginning of the movie is a solid 20 minutes of Jet Li, evil Jet Li, killing these people, and killing one of the Jet Lis. Jet Li killed one of the Jet Lis.
I
basically
called him
commits
like
suicide.
the Yakuza version of Jet Li.
Oh yeah,
He's got the slick back hair,
The
almost
scar
yeah.
on his face.
Yeah, almost like a
and we're gonna
pompadour.
talk about the many versions of Jet Li that they show on screen later.
Right.
It's fucking hilarious. We see like Rastafarian Jet Li and
Surfer
dude, Surfer Jet Li. Oh man, the goatee Jet Li. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, in the beginning, we get solid 20 minutes of Jet Li, taking down all these people. And I didn't know he was the bad guy. I thought he was like, yeah, he's going to be the good guy. This is my first viewing of it.
Wait, this is your first?
No.
view of it?
I'm talking about when I first saw it.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, I hope he escapes prison and kills a lot of Jet Li.
And then he gets shot in the head.
I didn't know he was the villain. I'm like, we're following him this entire time.
Well, the story is kind of surprising if you don't know anything about it. You're like, oh, he's a star, Jet Li, and then boom, he gets killed off right away. You're like,
Wait,
where is
so
this going?
The question here is, on the box cover, there's a picture of Jet Li posing, with like all these glitchy elements around him. Do you think that was the villain, or do you think that was the hero?
Was he in all black?
That's true.
Because
think he is
the
all
Jet Li in all black is the good guy. Not to be confused with the Jet Li who's only half in black, who is the bad guy. And we can elaborate more on that later.
Sure. Yeah. So, like you said before, the Jet Li comes in and kills Jet Li, and D. Norris is there, and they're shooting at the vents above them, where Jet Li is. How many times are we gonna say Jet Li? Jet Li is hiding. This is the first moment where I burst out laughing because when they start shooting they're just like scattering bullets at the vents. It's just covered.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, is he still in there? It's like, no way, he can be alive. And then you just see a hand burst through it. It's the funniest thing in the world because it looks like like paper.
Yeah.
It just burst right through it.
There's a lot of unintentionally funny moments in this.
Let's talk about the action as a whole.
Sure.
Because if we talk about it in every single scenario, we're just going to be repeating ourselves.
Right.
It's very cartoony.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's very cartoony. I kind of like the stuff they're doing with it, and I wish they embraced the cartoony even more.
What do you mean?
Because so the first glimpse we get of this is so he's technically like faster than
Yes.
everyone. So we get a scene where Jet Li is kind of kicking somebody. He's still moving at his normal speed, but you notice other people have slowed down. So he's kind of able to casually walk up, kick, punch, go to the next person, and that's how they're displaying how fast he is. Kind of like the Flash.
Flash or Quicksilver in like the X-Men movies. And
Exactly.
all that stuff.
Yeah. And I like that scene. I thought it was, pretty visually unique at the time.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping that it would go even crazier in terms of doing that later in the film, but this is actually the most we ever get of that.
And the CGI technology was not there yet. They couldn't go that far.
Right.
I will say they use CGI a little later in the movie where they're
A
teleporting.
little, you say?
I meant a little later. No, not. They don't use CG very little, sparingly. When they're teleporting to the other world or whatever.
I love that.
Cool.
I actually thought that was relatively convincing. I didn't like that they basically told the actors just fucking spaz out.
That's what I loved about it.
Actually, so when he does his weird face of pain and disintegration or whatever, it kind of reminds me the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor when he reprises.
Oh my god!
You know what I mean?
I have no idea
and
what
he's
you're
like solidifying or whatever, and he kind of makes
God.
like this weird, stupid face.
Yeah.
And that just had like a moment there.
Well, going back to the action.
Yeah, we're talking about the first scene, the first action scene. It goes on for quite a bit, and we get introduced to Jason Statham and Delroy something. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. And he's in everything. So the two of them are chasing after evil Jet Li throughout the whole movie. Right? They're essentially like space cops.
I forget what they call them.
They're
They're like
time
parallel.
cops.
They're time cops. They're parallel universe cops.
Yeah, it doesn't
pretty
matter.
much.
They're chasing him. Delroy Lindo. Yeah, I just remembered that. Totally just off the top of my head. Yeah, not like Mark just showed me.
Yeah.
So they're chasing him and everything, and meanwhile the cops are also in their vehicles and whatnot, chasing after him.
And we get some more moments of showing Jet Li's incredible speed. When
you mean they sped up the footage?
When he runs past the car and the police officer has to yell, "He's going 50 miles an hour!" Bursts out laughing.
You know what
good.
The inconsistency here is that Jet Li, after that cop says that, in the next shot you see Jet Li's character running like
normal speed,
hitting quote unquote normal speed. And like if that was really 50 miles an hour, there's also a car that's like moving way faster than him.
Yeah.
So there's no way he's moving that fast.
Right. They're obviously they can't do the CG so much and keep showing that effect. Like, I kind of give it a pass for that. Maybe they should have did something where they reveal that he does get tired, so he can't always be in that state.
Right.
But that
Because he's not a god yet.
Yeah, that's true. He's not a guy
Well, so he ends up in a backyard, and we have like a ET-esque kind of scene where he phones home. And he's like, okay, I need to go to the final universe and kill the final Lee.
This makes no
Finally.
sense. This makes no sense to me because theoretically, and they say it in the beginning, it's an endless multiverse. Meaning, why is there only 123 plus the one?
Did they say
25. 100. It would be 125.
24.
Did they say it was endless?
23, the one, and then the Gabe Ulaw or whatever his name is. Okay, so 125. Yeah, you're right.
Well, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be 125.
But it's supposed to be infinite, so technically you can never achieve godhood. And I've put a fucking loophole in this whole movie, and we're done with this podcast. Good night.
I don't recall if they say it's endless.
But it's they say that every star that dies, right, or a constellation or some shit, right, there becomes a new parallel universe. So in theory, it's endless, no matter what. Maybe not in the moment. So some of his power is always being drained, even if he becomes the one.
Yeah. Okay, I see that.
Yeah,
This movie's more Phi than Psi. Okay.
Yeah.
Just telling that right now. Yeah, so he phones home. He tells Elliot that he needs to go. But then Jason Statham and Delroy
A very
Lindo.
Hairful Jason Statham.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Statham with hair, yeah. I was like, whoa, who is that guy?
They show up and they're like, you can't do whatever. You can't kill people.
And he's like, yes, I can.
it's training day all over again.
They get transported to the Rick and Morty headquarters in time era. I don't know, whatever that space cop, like
We're never
zone
really
is.
Did you say
informed where
time
they
cop?
Time cop, yeah. They show up there and they take him in. They take Jet Li in, and Jet Li's imprisoned, and they have some sort of this Superman-esque kind of ritual where they're gonna banish him to some sort of
the Hades
Phantom
universe.
Zone.
the Phantom Zone, yeah.
Hades universe. in
The
this
Hades
movie,
universe, yeah. It's so original. But it's exhibited as if it's some sort of like executioner or like death row kind of thing. So they have people coming in and to watch this event. So the funniest thing that you pointed out before I watched this movie was that the love interest for the evil Jet Li comes in, this woman, and she sits there all seductively, and she taps on her heel, or she touches her high heel boots, and then a rat comes out, and there's something very distinctive about this rat.
He's got big balls.
Big pink balls.
Very pink, very big, and has a wire attached to him.
It's because that's the only place they could put a fucking wire to show that it was a robot. They couldn't put glue a microchip on its fucking neck.
You know the funniest thing about that is that there's a giant wire, like 3 foot long, attached to this rat, but you can't see it
Because you can't unsee his balls.
they're so big.
I was always confused when I was watching this. I was like, those can't be his balls. I was like, rats don't have balls. I've seen all the Disney movies. No balls.
Like, why couldn't they get a neutered rat? Or...
Yeah,
And then that's not even the funniest part about that. So she presses some button, and the rat explodes and destroys the entire room.
Actually, they're so big because there's C4 in those balls instead of testicles.
Oh god.
C4 sticles. Yeah, so the room explodes. Evil Jet Li breaks free, and we get a little bit more.
All to the tune of Disturbed's "Down with the Sickness."
God.
So we're constantly hearing that.
So good.
Every time it happens, it happens on cue with some sort of action.
Yeah, so when
moment.
it explodes, you get the chants.
Boom! Oh wow!
Yeah,
They finally got it right.
And it happens like several times throughout this action scene. We get more of Jet Li doing more Matrix-y kind of moves. There's one time where he takes a belt and he whips a guy, pulls him across the room, and he jumps this other direction and he shoots at him.
Meanwhile, they're kind of in slow motion, but he's still moving at normal speed.
It's so
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, it's very silly.
Yeah, there's cartoon physics.
Yes,
throughout the entire movie.
Oh
yeah.
god, yes. But to go back to what you were saying about timing, I mean, this movie actually does timing very well in the most childish, cartoony manner, but it's absolutely well done. I don't want
Entertainment wise.
Yes, yes. But just it's a little on the nose, but it's still good. And some movies just suck at it, and it kind of distracts you from the film. But it's fun in this one.
Sure. It's only fun because I think I'm laughing at the movie rather
Not
than
with-
with the movie.
Yeah. No, I definitely got that. I was laughing. When you burst out laughing when you know you're not supposed to. I was doing that a lot.
Right. And on that note, the evil Jet Li, his whole thing is new metal, right? So
Yeah.
and you think that's just the music that plays around here, but no, it happens throughout the movie. Later in the movie, where he's in the car, it's supposed to be a comedic scene where he's just listening to music. He can't, he doesn't like anything.
Yeah,
on the
there's
channels,
country music.
yeah.
There's doo-wop playing.
Yeah, but he actively selects the new metal. He's like, yeah, and he's like jamming to it.
He's like, yeah,
meanwhile,
it's my jam.
because we know how movies work and how productions work, Jet Li was probably in that car not listening to anything.
Of course.
No.
But in his head, he's probably thinking about traditional Chinese music. He's just bobbing his head too. He's like, yeah, I like this. That did not sell it for me. I can't imagine Jet Li rocking to
new metal.
like Rage Against the Machine.
Right.
He's just nodding every time a flute is played. It's
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I
I like
have
this dulcimer music.
right. I have a feeling I probably would have taken the movie a little more seriously upon this recent rewatching if they removed that new metal stuff. Because that I was kind of just laughing at it. I like that music a lot, especially as a teenager, and I can still enjoy it now because it's what I grew up listening to. But it's kind of the butt of jokes. Yeah. So when you hear it, it's kind of used for comedy in some aspects. Yeah. So when you go back and I watch it, I was just laughing.
I think we're all in the same boat when it comes to that. But I don't think new metal ages well with movies. That's the way I look at it. It's like you should not put that in movies.
I will say this. I think that, you say like movies, if they change this and this in a film and it might be a hit or something like that. But in this film, I genuinely think that if they just got rid of that music and substitute it with Matrix music.
Like symphonic?
Yes.
Orchestral.
Like kind of electronic music.
Yes, a little low.
Right. Because there is symphonic electronic type music in other areas, but I felt like anytime they had the action scene, they needed to put that exclamation point of rock music on top of it.
And just that, and maybe Jet Li taking just a little bit more time to focus on his pronunciation in English, and then honestly,
I can't be that harsh on him. Or that.
See,
no, he's great.
I was gonna say I thought he did a really good job.
No, he did a great
English.
job, and he does actually a better job than fucking Jackie does in any of his movies.
Yeah.
So no, props to him, but I feel like he's a little overzealous sometimes in his speech. So, like, if he just slowed down, I mean, just, like, calmed a little bit down, took a little more time to actually say the words. That's what I mean, emphasizing the words.
Right.
Not actually, like, learn your words better
or
anything. Just slow down a little bit. This movie would have been a bigger hit, in my opinion.
Evil Jet Li did a lot of overreacting, in my opinion. And that goes along with what you're saying. He emphasizes every word. But, like, pronunciation is not the issue. He's just, like, he's really... like leaning into the evil side of him.
Yeah.
Just being overly dramatic, I guess.
Like, I can't believe that he made Lethal Weapon 4 Jet Li look subtle in comparison.
Well, I didn't know that when he did Lethal Weapon 4, he didn't know any English. And then that was not too long after this. So he, like, really picked it up.
He probably learned it all phonetically.
He's a smart dude, man. Yeah. A really smart dude.
Yeah, too bad he can't do anything more because of health issues.
Yeah, unfortunate, but
right. But I'm glad
he's got a good legacy.
We all agree this movie needed less new metal and more Pink rat balls.
I thought you were gonna say Pink Floyd, and I was like, nope, not that one.
breathe in the air.
Oh, so the one thing I wanted to say, we get that scene where we get to see evil Jet Li. His victims, like the other versions of himself he killed. You know,
right.
Like you said, you get the Rastafarian, you get like the bookworm, the blonde surfer guy.
Yes.
I almost wish in my fantasy of this movie is that when they were showing images of the people he killed, it cut to him fighting them, and we got to see like Rastafarian Jet Li fight evil Jet Li, or,
oh my God,
or like bookworm Jet Li fighting. Like,
it wasn't in the budget. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Do you think all those Jet Li's knew martial arts too?
That's what I'm saying. Like in my dream version of this movie, they all knew martial arts, and we got to see like a capoeira version of Jet Li fighting.
Right. They're all Asian, of course they do.
Well, I'm gonna kick your ass after this using my martial arts. There's another loophole that comes into this. So if in one universe one Jet Li dies, the other one would just automatically get stronger, just automatically.
Automatically, yeah.
Okay. I love Rastafarian Jet Li, my favorite. So now we have so Jet Li, like, he travels to the final universe to kill the final Jet Li.
Yeah, and that's the story. And that's the story.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much.
And the rest is just kind of history. And we won't dive too far into the spoilers because we all know where this is going to go.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. There's no plot twist anymore.
No. It's very straightforward. There are some story beats that are very, very straightforward when it comes to like what you expect in this. So in this universe, this final universe, the Jet Li who actually is the protagonist is a cop.
Yeah.
Or prison war. I don't know.
He's a sheriff.
A sheriff.
LA County sheriff.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we glazed over is when the movie first opens. we are given like an alternate reality of things.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Al Gore's president.
Well, I was going to say Al Gore. You know, we get shots of Al Gore as president. They're called like the police are wielding very strange not strange, but they're just different types of weaponry.
Everything's magenta.
Yeah, the color scheme is different. The camera is constantly panning left, and then once we get to the universe with the good Jet Li, it's like, okay, Bush is president. Like the weapons are different, the uniforms are different. The camera is now constantly panning right.
Right.
So you know, it's like subtle things. You know, it's not anything high
Giving
art.
this movie a lot of
Yeah,
credit.
it's nothing high art, but I appreciate little things like that.
Sure. It's a little. It's building more towards the world building.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I get it. It's not but like you said before, it's not high art.
Yeah, it's
For
not
sure.
at all high art. Yeah. Well, one thing, did we point out the different fighting styles?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna butcher the Chinese here, and so Jet Li, the evil Jet Li,
Yulaw is his name?
Gabe Law, and then the actual villain is Lawless.
No.
No. That was the.
That's one.
That was the first
Man,
Jet Li that gets killed.
When I heard his name was Lawless, I burst out laughing.
That's right. Okay.
I was expecting them to say like martial
So
law.
it's
and
Gabe
force
Law. Gabe Law is good Jet Li. You see, Gabe, good. So
okay.
Yulaw is the evil Jet Li.
Right. So
'Cause yin and
I'm just gonna
yang.
keep calling them good Jet Li and bad Jet
Right,
Li.
right.
It'd be them fighting between a rock and a hard place.
Oh my God.
Wah, wah, wah.
Haven't heard that before.
Yep. I'm a genius.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Jet Li, the good Jet Li, he's protecting some convict or whatever, and we get a kind of like a recreation of the first scene from the first movie. So you can just imagine evil Jet Li in all 123 universes has been hiding in the same vents every single time.
Yeah,
And
probably.
And we see him also stick out his hand, like busting right through it, like Pai Mei in Kill Bill.
Right.
through
Even
that
better,
board.
seeing a Rastafarian police officer, Jet Li.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Jet Li, good Jet Li, is thinking that the convict's in danger, but no, it's actually his life who's in danger. And then the rest of the scene is good Jet Li chasing after bad Jet Li. And then he discovers his Neo moment when he climbs that wall. With just like an easy, 100, 200 foot wall. He just climbs it with ease.
Yeah.
It's not just wire fu. Of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets up there, and the evil Jet Li shoots at him, but he's not able to kill him. Whatever. The rest of this is very
Well,
straightforward.
he had bulletproof plot armor on.
Yeah, and then we get introduced to the wife, who was in Watchmen. That's my way of describing her. And she is the supportive, character in the entire movie who wants to make sure that her husband is not found guilty of murder and such at the MRI or the hospital that he's in later. I'm jumping all over the fucking place, but yeah, I'm trying not to literally go beat for beat, but without going all the way towards the the very nitty gritty.
Yeah.
I can kind of
we
piece things together.
Right. We basically said it. So at this point in the movie, it's evil Jet Li trying to kill good Jet Li so he can finally become the one.
Yeah.
Smash title card.
The amount of times that the evil Jet Li says the one, you could make a drinking game out of it.
That's true.
I should do accounting on that.
You're totally gonna watch this again after this. Yeah. And then so the only other plot point that we can kind of give without spoiling the entire movie is that the good Jet Li, he's had the MRI. He's trying to do MRI because
he was in an incident, right? He was shot, so they think he has PTSD or something. So they're trying to check his brain.
That's what MRIs do.
Yeah. Well, they're also so one thing they do point out in the movie is good Jet Li realizes things are happening to him because he doesn't know that he is getting stronger, but he doesn't know why, and he doesn't realize it. Where obviously the bad one knows, I'm killing my cells, I'm gaining their energy.
And it's not sudden. This is going on for 2 years.
Yeah, so it's been going on, and even the wife is like, yeah, you're getting older. You're not supposed to be getting stronger. So he's in reality, like someone probably would be concerned, like something's wrong, like something like this doesn't make sense. Hence the MRI.
Sure. So the MRI scene is important because it establishes not only, again, it's another scene where you get interaction between good Jet Li and bad Jet Li, and we get some somewhat good action here. Because in overall, there's a lot of gunfights in the movie, and so we don't have a lot of martial arts.
Correct.
We save that for the very, very end. However, a good important plot point that happens here is that the good Jet Li is kind of what I would call framed, but he's it's staged to look like he's the bad guy. He's been killing people rampantly for no reason. And we get a little, I would call this like a Jackie-esque moment where he's like handcuffing the cops and stuff.
Right.
It almost feels comedic, but without using the trademark Jackie style that makes him seem like, like this Jet Li doesn't want no trouble.
Right. Well, we got a similar line. What did he say? He kept on saying like, I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
So I don't know, for some reason I kept on.
There's so many movies with that influence this one. Well, influence in the sense that they just took shit.
Yeah, I like that. I like that moment
one.
when he handcuffs all the police officers together. I was like, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, and then the rest of it is just kind of good Jet Li's running away from the bad guys, and he's also running away from the villain of the movie, but also trying to chase him as well. And he befriends Jason Statham,
Space cop,
yeah. And Delroy Lindo.
Yeah. Delroy Lindo.
Yeah, and then the rest is like really straightforward, and it just brings us straight to the very end of the movie in terms of action.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would say that.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, well, so there are a couple action scenes in between that.
Right.
Where Bruce Lee does fight
Bruce Lee.
Jet Li.
Close enough.
Yeah, where Bruce Lee fights Jet Li, and then I wake up from my daydream.
Back from the dead,
yeah. Do you think Jet Li ever had to play a Bruce Lee clone?
Fist of Legend.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, okay, so the rest of it, without even getting to the spoilers, because we're going to try not to do that this time, is like we just have sprinklings of action that makes the entire movie-going experience so much better with this movie. Like the moment where
the motorcycle scene,
I would call it the T-1000 scene, because it's reminiscent of what you'd see in Terminator 2. When, he's like, no, nice bike. And
before that, though, I want to say they give
Delroy
Lindo, they give him a brief fight. He's not at all an action movie guy. So considering what he was able to do, he's obviously slower, but that makes sense.
But he was fantastic.
Yeah, he did a good job.
I mean, I'm sure it was a stunt double doing the things that the actor obviously couldn't do, like getting catapulted across the street.
It feels seamless, and actually, no, he comes off really smart with it.
I thought I didn't notice this the first time, but there's a funny moment where he goes to punch Jet Li in the throat, and Jet Li grabs him with his chin, and he can't let go. I was like, oh my god.
I thought it was hilarious when Jet Li stomps his foot into the ground and basically creates a crater into the
It was
the
like
concrete.
Kung Fu Hustle.
There's a lot of moments that
the
remind
toe
me
smashing scene. Yeah.
Whereas in Kung Fu Hustle, it was played for comedy. This is non-intentionally hilarious.
Yeah.
Another movie that took a lot of shit from other movies. But anyway, keep going.
Oh, there's paying homage, and then there's just being inept.
That's a borderline. That's another conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. I was fine with his choreography in the scene. He's limited as I don't think he's done too many action movies. So considering he's got to fight Jet Li, I give him props for that. And then I like the moment where Jet Li is holding him by his two arms, and he kicks him, and he goes flying into the van. But then he rips his jacket off. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. I was like,
he would probably die upon impact.
Oh yeah.
Being catapulted like that.
Whiplash to death.
But then we get the police officers who come in the T-1000 bikes,
right?
If you will.
They all show up, and this is the most iconic moment of the entire movie. So Jet Li, because he's stronger, faster, harder, stronger, faster, stronger. he and this is where Kanye comes in. He takes these motorcycles and just starts like fucking just wailing on people. But
before
this
that,
is in the trailers too.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
is in the trailers.
This is the first thing I think of when I think of the one.
Right. So before that, he runs in between the two bikes and double clotheslines.
Yes.
I don't know. I just thought that was so funny.
The CG for that is as bad as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Because it's not it is.
I was fine with the CG in this movie because you know what? It's limited for the time period, but it's never shown on screen for too long where it's too distracting.
I think it is. So there's
because you know it's dated, so I'm fine with that.
Let's just set this up. So Jet Li takes two motorcycles, one in each hand, and he
that scene. Yes.
That's the one I'm talking about. Like
okay.
where he pincers a cop. He crushes him
between two motorcycles.
But that's too long because that's one shot, and you have him reaching out. You see both motorcycles. You have him the crushing, then the person falls, and then you have the bikes being thrown away. So that's like a solid 7 seconds.
Everything about the CG in this, the visual effects don't work because
but they did keep it to a minimum for a long time, so it's barely passable in a lot of scenes.
Not passable.
No, see, I'm with you. Because the cuts are so short, and then they at least try to incorporate real world damage. So he crushes a guy between two motorcycles. Obviously, CG because you get the whole wide of it.
Right.
But then when he throws the bikes, at least you see the real motorcycles grinding on the streets. So they try to get your mind out of that.
I'm talking about that one shot though.
From a 2001 eye, like a viewer, you will not know.
Right. Yeah.
But
that's
except
how I
for
was
maybe
too.
that one scene with the motorcycles in that one shot where he's smashing the guy with both of them, where it's way too long, and you're like, there's something hinky here. And then that's probably the only scene really that focuses that's too long. But because you're used to this shit, you see it all the time as somebody who lives fucking 10 years, 18 years later. You see it differently, completely.
This was after Mummy Returns, right? So the CG in that set the standard, set the high bar for CG.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. It's definitely aged, and you can see it.
I found the motorcycles are floaty. They don't track well with the hands. It feels like they're not actually in his hand. Jet Li's not holding anything as he does it.
No, I'll give you that because he should have been holding something. To at least for some sort of marker, or at least to maybe give him a little weight.
His hands are the motorcycle.
Because he's literally just clapping his hands.
Basically. And also the cop. It's just a sell him. I know it's a PG-13 movie, but he literally looks like he just got bear hugged, like squeezed by his niece.
That's true too. His head probably should have exploded. If you're being crushed by the
I think he just bled from the nose or something, or the mouth at one point. It's just no.
That raised him from a PG to a PG-13.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and then in terms of the action after that, we have some more shootouts and such.
Nothing too crazy. They kind of saved it all for the end, and for me, unfortunately, I wasn't crazy about the end fight. But I know a lot of work got put into it because it's Jet Li fighting Jet Li.
Right. So I'm obviously that's the only route that this movie can take. It'd be fucking weird if Jet Li died and Jason Statham just was it's up to me now.
Well, it would have been a great twist if
Yeah.
Jet Li was I give my power to you.
How does that work?
And then instead of saying I know Kung Fu, he's like, I know Chinese. And then the movie goes off the rails.
We are making this movie.
Movies plays it too safe to do that. But I will, like you said before, this movie does have two Jet Lis. So how do they make a clone fight work on screen? Well, but with the exception of obviously the exception of body doubles, finding someone who actually matches Jet Li's posture, stature, and exactly, and not showing the face essentially. Besides that, we get our first real maybe not first, but we have an instance of deep faking in the movie, right? So we have Jet Li fighting a guy, a body double, who's representing the other guy, but his face is painted green, so that they can
not painted. He's wearing a green mask.
Okay, sure. He's wearing green of some. He has green on his face.
Yeah, if you watch the special features, they show he's wearing a green mask.
Right. He's wearing the mask. He just turns to Jim Carrey.
Right.
Yeah. It's like smoking. Yeah.
So it's a very, very early form of digital face swapping technology.
Right.
Because nowadays, like anybody can do it so easily.
Yeah.
But this was, very primitive. This is 2001. So I thought, if you watch the making of, it's kind of neat. The way they do it in certain aspects is Jet Li would watch footage of his movements, and they would videotape his face, also redoing the movements, so he knew what face he was making, which I thought was neat. So they would kind of cut out his facial reactions or his expressions when he's doing these fights, so that they could just kind of paste it on.
That's a lot of effort.
That's a lot of effort.
So it's almost like he had to fight 3 times.
Yes.
He had to fight when he was the good guy, when he was the bad guy, and then he had to fight again so they can get his facial reactions.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna tell you something that's I'm kind of ashamed of to admit. So when I first watched this is when I was 11. I didn't really have a solid understanding of filming.
Age doesn't matter. I will shame you.
Wait till I get to this. I was like, how did they get 2 Jet Lis to fight each other?
No, I think everybody has that moment growing up when they see a movie with 2 of the same person. I had that with Parent Trap and Lindsay Lohan.
Well, so that's the thing. So okay, like the first real
that
instance
was actually
of it,
2 different actresses for Parent Trap.
Mark can't tell if you're fucking with
No,
me.
I'm actually not. Those were 2 different actresses.
Going with what I was gonna say before, the first instance where I was blown away with that was Back to the Future 2, because that's when like split screen technology became like integrated with actually having actors in the room interacting with him, and the camera sells it. Like the camera will move dynamically, so
It's not just like a static camera, and then you have one guy's on one side, one guy's on the other.
Exactly.
How did they do that?
Exactly. You're like, well, it's very obvious. You
Right.
cut the frame in half, and like, okay, well, this half will have this and that. And
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Stitches together. Yeah.
Right. So in this movie, we don't have a lot because obviously budget. But when we do have Jet Li fighting the other Jet Li as a kid, and I didn't see this in theaters. I saw this on television at home. And maybe the quality kind of sold it for me. That
4:3
like
aspect ratio.
SD, 480p, probably, like it
on this tiny little, monitor, or not even monitor, this tiny little screen. Yeah, you know what I mean. So like you see Jet Li fighting Jet Li, you're like, how are they doing that? The camera's moving like convincingly, so I can't tell what's happening. However, now that you've given me the Blu-ray release of this, I'm like, oh, I get it. I literally see the seams where the frame ends.
But for a movie in that time, this is probably the best example of stitching 2 separate halves of a scene together, and it almost seems seamless. Pardon that, but it's pretty well done.
Yeah, when you watch the making of, like the directors are pointing out, like, we can see here that the shadows aren't right, but they're like, when we knew we had to do that, we tried to make the cuts as quick as possible, so you're not distracted by it. And I thought they did a decent job, because even though there's a lot of quick cutting in this fight, I'm never like, that's not Jet Li.
Yeah. Usually you can tell if it's like a close-up and they're interacting and they're looking too far to the left or to the right or up or down, and it's just like, their eyes aren't like connecting. They're not really facing each other quite right. But like you said, it cuts so quick that you can't tell.
Sure. Like there's that CGI glow. That's the best way I describe it. It's all about lighting. It's when that there's CG in the shot. There's something about their entire vibe. They're on, like everything around them that seems like a little bit off.
You mean the over detail?
Around. That's not a bad way to describe it. Yeah, sure.
Right. Well, if you watch like special effects features now, when they talk about, this is how we digitally recreated these artists, you'll see things like, this is the pour level. This is like there's like so many levels, and like, this is how we got the light to react to this. Yeah. It's so complicated in how they can make a pretty realistic version of a person in the computer.
Sure.
When you watch the special effects feature on this movie, they're like, oh, this is the light layer. This is the shadow layer.
that's
It's
the way
very,
to show it.
very minimal. So considering the technology they had to work with, I definitely give them a pass.
Okay.
For it.
Well, let's talk about the action.
Yeah.
About this, since we're on the topic. This is an
Right.
action podcast, and also it's two Jet Lis fighting one another.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you go wrong? The Matrix-esque moments are what kind of kills it for me. This should have been a good selling point for the movie. It's like Jet Li's fighting himself.
Yeah.
It's not just Jet Li punching himself in the parking lot.
He makes that joke in the interviews.
Oh, really?
He's like, "How do I fight myself?" And he starts like punching himself in the face. It's pretty good.
I think I've seen that. Wasn't he a Conan saying that? No.
Oh, no, it was for the DVD.
Oh, for the
Special
DVD.
DVD features.
Okay. It's actually really funny. So you would think that'd be really fantastic choreography. I think it's just okay. There's nothing that really stands
I was
out.
unfortunately pretty disappointed. in it.
I wouldn't blame it on the editing either. But I just think the choreography itself wasn't.
I think it's the choreography. Yeah, but I think it's because it's the limitation of what they're doing too. You have two guys. You have one actor fighting himself. I think they made conscious efforts to do limitations with it because it could have just gotten crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if they tried to do things a little more complicated, I don't know. It's hard to tell.
That's fair, and you can kind of tell when they're kind of using guns, and they're Jet Li, or the good Jet Li is always asking for a gun to defend himself against bad Jet Li, and everybody's using a weapon until basically the final fight, and that's kind of, I guess, maybe is a saving grace in one way, but at the same time, it's not, because you don't get to see all the action like you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's a weird, like, why choose that route?
Yeah.
Well, this whole fight scene too, at least when it first starts, feels a little too video gamey. Like, I'm on the left side of the screen, you're on the right side of the screen, and there's literally wide shots of them. It's like it's like literally like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. They're just kind of going back and forth at each other.
Oh, you know what? Since you mentioned it before, maybe that's why evil Jet Li was essentially winning the first half
because
of the
he was
fight.
fighting in a straight line.
Yeah, fighting in a straight
I was
line.
gonna say that too.
Okay, all right, I stole that from you.
Was that not obvious with when he was practicing his martial arts?
No, not at all. I didn't overanalyze it enough, apparently.
I wish they went into that a little more, because going back a little bit, there is a scene that makes it pretty obvious now that I rewatch it.
When he says it.
Yeah, when Jet Li is, he's practicing his martial arts on the roof of the hospital.
Yep.
And then you see good Jet Li, he's fighting in, like, I guess his home, and he's going in the circular pattern.
Yep.
And there's a huge circular symbol,
Right.
behind him. They're pretty much hammering it home, but when I was a kid, like, I didn't know that.
Right.
Also, circular pattern for symbolism, the necklace between his wife and himself.
I like that necklace a lot. I thought that
Yeah,
was cool.
it was. And then also, actually, when Bad Jet Li is in jail, he says, when he's talking to his ex-partner, he says the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
thought
It's
that was so
literally
stupid.
right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything. And he keeps on going back and forth as if he's pacing, but he's doing forms as he's pacing.
I didn't
Yeah.
know a poet wrote this movie.
I like that stuff. Like it kind of seems like a dumb action movie, but they tried to add more layers.
Philosophy.
Oh, okay. I still think it's a dumb action movie. For sure. I mean, yeah, sure. Like, there's effort put in there, but it's so, like, it's so unintentionally funny that
Well,
I can't.
that's the issue.
help.
Yeah, it is unintentionally funny at a lot of times, but I appreciate the detail they tried to put in little things.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And the final fight, yeah, like whenever there's sprinklings of like actually good choreography, you get moments where fucking one of the Jet Li's catapults himself like 10 feet in the span of like a millisecond, and it looks like a Mortal Kombat move, like you said before.
yeah. Unfortunately, some of the CG doesn't hold up when they're doing things that are a little too fantastical.
Yeah. So the biggest flaw with this final fight, it's not even so much the choreography. It's it's with the music again. There's a moment where the movie, the entire fight sequence just kind of makes a turn, like in terms of who's winning. Obviously, the good person now, but now that they're engaging in combat, like now we have a slow-mo sequence where everyone, the two performers. Who am I kidding? It's just Jet Li fighting himself. The Jet Lis are fighting in slow mo, and we get more new metal playing over it.
Yeah, it's Papa Roach. The song is called Blood Brothers. So, you see what they did there?
Oh, okay, I get it.
No, I get what you mean, though. I wasn't crazy about how they did slow-mo in this section.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that. No, for sure. I don't even think that's more... See, like, something like that should be relegated or only left up to, like, scenes where people are... Two characters are fighting to the death, and it's supposed to be very visceral and stuff. And it's not. It has nothing to do with music. Like, if you're gonna do slow mo, this is my opinion. You're doing slow mo. You're having very close shots of the performers. It's not even about the choreography. It's all about the emotion now. They're like, it's not about like them like you seeing them blocking and in very choreographed ways. It's about their face, what you see on their faces, like what they're feeling, and they're just giving it all. It's supposed to be a visceral reaction.
Yeah.
However, you put fucking Papa Roach over it, and it negates everything.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, because yes, you're right. When you do slow motion, it's because you want to see what's going on.
Yeah,
they're up close. You're seeing the facial expressions of Jet Li and Jet Li, and the music is just not the right choice here.
No.
So in the final scene or the final fight, there's the one scene where all of a sudden sparks fly everywhere, right?
Oh,
and the music,
yeah.
and the music is blaring. So not only is that a reference to the Matrix, but at the same time, you have this music blasting. So if there was just dead silence and just subtle, like muffled sounds of sparks in the background, I think that would have been more impressive and accurate kind of feel for the scene than what they were doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Less is more.
It's even more ridiculous because there's fucking sparks everywhere, and the good jet. Well, one of the Jet Lis is walking through it. Yeah. He's just like, this
I am
burn.
the one now.
Yeah.
This doesn't burn.
Right. Oh, so one thing I was mentioning before. Now, this scene, this whole fight scene between Jet Li and Jet Li could have been extremely visually confusing, but bad Jet Li, for whatever reason, maybe to show off his muscles, decided to undo his black top that he's wearing, so that he's not wearing the same thing as the other good Jet Li, who's also wearing a black top and black pants.
Yeah.
But did you notice that when he does that, when he rips it off, there were fucking tiger sounds in the background?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They add that a lot into.
I was like, where did that come from? This is the first time in this whole movie.
No, they did that when he was practicing on the roof.
That's right.
Yeah, when he does the final move, there's like
that is, but that's an ending. This came out of nowhere. It was just like, why here?
Yeah. Because he's a
It's
tiger.
almost as if the action's just deliberately, unintentionally bad.
A flute would have been better. Come on.
No.
It sounds like Power Rangers.
God.
The rest of it doesn't really. It's kind of. The rest of it is just more story stuff, but we'll just kind of cap this off with the actual final scene of the movie.
Yes.
Which is
my favorite ending to any movie ever. Fuck Rosebud. This movie is this should be taught in film classes. This is how you end every movie.
Okay, we're just gonna spoil it. Let's just say that the evil Jet Li gets banished.
Yeah,
right.
he gets
it's
sent.
How else could this be?
Exactly. Yeah. So he gets sent to the Hades dimension, which is essentially it's just a planet. Or it's a dimension that is an entire jail cell?
Yeah. Right, exactly. And he
just
says
pure
the best
anarchy.
line in the entire movie, which is,
I ain't a bitch.
No, you fucked it up.
Did I? No.
I am nobody's bitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said it just like that.
Right.
It's another Jackie moment. I'm sorry. I fucking.
Well, he gets approached by.
First he says Bruce Lee. Now you say Jackie. It's like, we're fucking up.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was intentional.
So Donnie Yen tells everybody.
I don't want no trouble.
He tells them like I'm nobody's bitch, and then they all like try to like they're trying to strip their dominance. And then you see this, the camera pans out as Jet Li's beating up a bunch of people.
Right. It starts out like he's at the top of kind of like a pyramid, and they're all ascending while they're trying to fight him, and he's just basically throwing dudes off the pyramid, while the camera is slowly panning out to reveal that there's like billions of guys trying to go up this pyramid.
And there's like fire in the background and lightning, and then all of a sudden the logo for Mortal Kombat comes out.
All to the tune of Papa Roach. Last Resort. It's
Oh God,
it's perfect.
Actually, I will say this music choice does work for this because it's so new metal. It's such a new metal scene. The scene itself is very new metal.
Actually, no, it is.
This song fits the best in this scene out of all the songs in any of the scenes, and Will knows because I started singing this song before, humming it to myself. Just like subconsciously, somehow before this scene even happened, I started singing the song, and then all of a sudden, like fucking 30 seconds later, this song comes on, and I'm just like, fucking called it.
Nice. But as silly and as stupid as this movie is, if you watch it, I feel like you got to admit this is like an unintentionally hilarious ending, and it's perfect. Like that's it.
Yeah,
it's just like the movie. It ends on like the best dumb high note.
Yeah, he's nobody's bitch.
Yeah.
And that's the movie. Well, I mean, he gets what he wants, right? He gets to be the strongest.
Right. It's kind of weird because, they send him to the Hades dimension, but I feel like he's got the biggest boner right now because he just gets to fight
That's
people.
true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Well, what happens we won't spoil here.
Universe?
No, right, well, whatever. Figuratively or literally.
Both.
He goes to a universe full of vaginas. There aren't even any women here, just vaginas.
Just floating vaginas.
That is a Rick and Morty episode.
Yeah. Like whatever happens to him, we won't spoil, but I will say it doesn't make any sense.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
Fine.
It's fine,
yeah, it's
I guess.
fine, yeah.
Like
he needed a good ending.
But it doesn't make any sense.
He has a dog now. It's fine.
Yeah.
He had a dog. It's the same dog.
It
So
smells
he just
like
abandoned his original dog.
Wait, did he have a dog?
Yeah, he had a dog.
In the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
It doesn't matter.
How do I know?
Like the rest of the movie, it doesn't matter.
It's when he first comes home after going to the hospital.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ollie?
Yeah, Ollie.
Yeah.
I love how you remember the name, but you don't remember there's a dog at all. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of this one, Mark?
I can't get over that. Fucking
It's like,
Ollie?
besides the fact that there's no dog, there's a dog in this movie. All right, Mark.
I
what do you
enjoyed it
think?
very much.
Yeah, okay.
So good. Not so good. It's bad. Well, maybe.
What?
It's complicated.
What's a movie that's so good it's bad? Explain that to me. What is that?
You like it so much, but
You start to hate it. Like, stop making me like you so much, movie.
It hits on so many high notes. It's unforgivable, No, it's I mean, I think we covered it. It's so takes itself so seriously, unintentionally becomes bad, but because you're laughing at it the whole time, you're enjoying yourself. There's no really like any moment to feel like, oh, this is just fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. It's actually just high notes all the way through. Regardless of if those are good quality high notes, they're fun high notes. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just enjoyed it. It's a definite recommend just for a classic and a little unique plot. I like plot.
I know you do. I know you do. I'll go next. Zero can attest to it because he has more of a background with this movie than I do. I think it's definitely a so bad it's good, not so good it's bad.
It's so good, it's bad.
But it's not so bad it's good enough that I'd watch it again. It's so stupid. This movie is so dumb. And I've seen this movie several times. Like not consecutively, but like throughout my lifetime. And every single time I watch, I'm like, this movie's so fucking stupid. And sure, there's probably layers to it that show that the filmmakers put effort into, like, they put some thought into, the philosophy and the martial arts styles or martial arts philosophies. However, I think the movie itself is just a product of its time, and it dates itself way too much. Action-wise, it doesn't hold up for me because it's just muddled down with the CG. It's trying to capitalize on Matrix. So it's being held back by that. And if you want to watch a Jet Li movie with tons of good choreography, I can name you 50 movies before I name this one, and he hasn't even made 50 movies. So I'll tell you that right now. And that's the thing. I would say I'd recommend it just for one viewing. Yeah. Because it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, from a martial arts perspective, no, it's not a recommend, but just a movie perspective, just general fun.
If you guys like that so bad
definitely.
It's good, I'd say watch it. It's dumb. And then and the action. Yes, I don't recommend it on YouTube. If you just see on YouTube and you, without context, you'll just be like, "This is stupid." There's nothing about it that screams, amazing.
Will's very particular.
Yeah, I really am. Yeah, and that's the one. 0. What do you think?
Yeah. No, it's so as I mentioned earlier, I really liked this movie growing up because it was just on all the time. My friends and I watched it. We had a good time. It was very fun entertainment for high schoolers. I I laughed a lot rewatching this, and I can very clearly see it has everything that's wrong with it is absolutely correct, but I still enjoyed watching it. I think I'm in the same boat as you though, where I don't know if I could recommend this. I grew up with it, so I liked it. I'm nostalgic for it. I don't think you need to watch the fights on YouTube because they're unfortunately not that good in my opinion. But watching the movie as a whole is it's pretty entertaining as kind of like a dumb movie to put on in the background maybe, or even watch with a bunch of friends. Kind of joke.
That's probably the best way.
Right. I still like this movie. I like a lot of little things about it because I knew they're putting an effort into making it a little bit higher class than a B movie. It's like a B plus. It's like a B plus movie for me.
I love how you say that. In my head, I'm like, what are you talking about? It's so dumb. This movie's so dumb.
Yeah, they tried.
I know what you're trying to get at, but also no.
Right. And as you said, it is a pretty unique plot. I don't really know too many movies,
especially for its time,
that did parallel universes.
I'm about to leave.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm serious though. Like, what other movie or what other story has parallel universes?
I told you, Rick and Morty.
No,
where one
Highlander.
is dying and then they're absorbing energy. Is that Highlander?
No, it's not Highlander. But the principle is like there can only be one, and it kind of
there's a reason for that because when one dies, then the others gain energy. Sure. I thought that was very unique. Mm-hmm. Sure, maybe the execution came across as unintentionally funny. Yeah, but I have to give it that the story is kind of unique because I don't know anything else that has a similar story.
Right. I can't remember any film that really deals with parallel universes before this movie. There's maybe like a handful you can count on one hand or two. And that's barely anything considering how many movies there are.
Okay.
And then after that, it kind of blew up. I don't know. I mean, the sci-fi genre incredibly blew up. Not including like fucking D movies and shit. Mm-hmm. But this movie was a big hit with a really crazy plot or idea.
The only one that's left is my one brain cell after watching this movie.
This guy.
So dumb.